So the only thing, only thing, well, not the only thing, besides the fact that he would take care of things like websites and graphic design, like those kinds of things for me and the internet. And I had to figure all that out. And just like, quote unquote, having a man around the house, if you're talking about gender roles, like the one who's going to go to the DMV or this, or those kinds of things where if we did split chores, having to pick up all the slack for his, which I did many times over the years anyway. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But the one thing that I missed is having someone who cared as much about my kids as I do. Like having someone, they're his kids too. So being able to brag about them or be worried about them or whatever and go to them. And to his credit, there were many times, I'm looking back through my journals, I'm like, oh, wow, when he would have some kind of insight into a problem that they were having or something, and he would share it with me, and I'd be like, oh, wow. And back in my Christian days, I would say, oh, the Spirit must have been filling him like with, with his knowledge and wisdom. So that's the thing that I miss, is having someone who, like, they're your kids too. Like you get this. But I do have a lot of people in my life who do love my kids. So it's not that bad. But yeah, so I don't miss that part. And the freedom is just, it's off the charts. And when people who had a true partner, when they leave and it's like, wow, all my help and my support and my encouragement, all that is gone. That wasn't the case for me. He really was in many ways like an extra child or a dog, like a puppy. But I've used the example before, just not an exact analogy, but you've got this dog or this puppy or some kind of pet that you are doing all of these things for, but you're feeding it, housing it, taking it to the vet, paying all this stuff. But then whenever that dog wants cuddles, he goes down to the neighbor's house, gets the cuddles, then comes back for his food and his bath and his vet appointment and his flea medicine, whatever. And then he goes back for the cuddles. Like you don't get anything from him. You give all this to him, but he gives all of his affection to someone else. Like that's how it felt to me. So when he left, I wasn't like, oh, now I don't have all of this affection. There wasn't any affection for quite a while. It was very sporadic. So I wasn't losing much that I had not already lost. I was losing the burden that he put on me. And he would constantly say, you only love me for my money. And this would be in response to me saying, could you please earn some money, because we cannot pay our bills and I cannot do this all by myself. Would you please earn some money? Would you please earn some money? So the 3 years that he was incapacitated, basically, I carried the whole load. Once he was mentally better and could work, I expected him to come back in and help. And so many times he didn't. And I'm now realizing he was off gallivanting with a girlfriend. And they say about narcissists and other people that they're projecting a lot. You see it with Donald Trump all the time. Basically, anything he says about someone else is an admission of what he's been doing. So my ex saying, you only love me for my money, you only love me for my money. I came to this conclusion not super long ago. Wow, he was staying with me for my money. Like he could go off and do whatever he wanted because he knew I would never, ever let our family go to ruin. I would never let our kids like fall into deep poverty, even though we kind of did. We borrowed their money when they were like 7 and 8, like borrowed their $30 to pay our bills and then paid it back. So yeah, there's just so much that if this was a divorce podcast, I would keep talking forever. But let's talk about, like you asked me questions now about dating, but that really gives kind of a good background for why I might be a little hesitant to jump back in a relationship with someone.
Exactly. Yes. So I was thinking about the low bar,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how when he showed up in certain ways, as like you said, a decent human, it led to kind of this overpraise of
Mm-hmm.
basic human decency,
Yeah.
right? And just that cycle you were caught in over and over again. And what kind of toll that takes on your mind and your psyche
Yeah.
And I think with our evangelical background, there's already a discounting of the wisdom of your body and your intuition. And now you have this partner who is a narcissist and gaslighting you and sticking you in this constant cycle of hot and cold and hot and cold. Or really like ice and a little warmth, ice and a little warmth there at the end, you know?
Yep.
Because when you're so cold, that little bit of warmth is enticing because
Yeah.
it's meeting some fundamental human need that you have for
Yeah.
intimacy, something that should just be a given in a safe relationship. So I just want to name that. Okay. So, yeah, that then I think gives really good background, like you said, to lead into some of the fears you might have around dating, putting yourself back out there, even flirting with someone, like you were saying. You realize now I have the freedom to do this, but do I even want to do this? And I think there's a freedom in that. And you get to decide if and when and how you flirt, if you do it all. So yeah. Okay, so the question is,
It's like, wait, is there a question?
I might not have asked it out loud.
I can make one up.
But the fears you have around dating.
Okay. Yeah. So I think, like you said, I want to say that I trust myself, but I don't know if I'm there yet, because I feel like any guy could come along and show the tiniest bit of kindness, and I'd be like, oh, yes, this is it. When he could cover up any number of other things with that little bit of kindness. So I don't want to invest a bunch of time and energy in my heart to someone who is going to betray me, leave me, cheat on me, or any of that. And I think it's it's that not knowing. It's also tied to the I don't have time for this. So this is what, okay, so I wrote in my notes, I'm not holding my breath or waiting around for, oh, I know what it was. Okay, this, I said, how in the hell can you know who to trust? This is why I would really love to be friends with someone for a really long time, and then we just magically fall in love. But also, I don't know about that. And then I thought, you know what, maybe one of my longtime friends who's already partnered, like maybe so I'm almost 50, maybe when I'm 60, like they will lose their partner to death or something. And then it'll be like, oh, we're meant to be together. We've been friends this whole entire time. This just fits naturally. I'm thinking about this, I think, because my parents, who are in their 70s, have had several friends who have lost their partner to cancer or to disease, and they're getting remarried in their 70s to someone else that was in their friend group for years and years and years and years and years, who also doesn't have their partner. I'm like, that's the way I want to do it, where I already know that you are a great guy and a great husband because I've seen you do that, and we're already friends, and we both loved your wife. So now let's get married. And that almost feels freeing to me too, because I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that later. I'll do that when I'm 60 or when I'm 70. And I can have fun right now. And I have friends who tell me, like, I just want this for you, Marla. Like, I want you to know what it's like to have good sex, or to have someone who really, really cares about you, someone who really, really loves you. And I get that. Like, in my mind, I understand that. I just can't wrap my mind around it. Where right now I have not only have that freedom, but like I said, my young adult daughters live with me, and they do all of the chores, like all of the cooking, all of the shopping, all of the post office errands, all of the cleaning and the laundry and everything. And in exchange for living here with me, I sit at my desk, I do my work, I write my books, I post on Instagram, I read things, I take walks. My life is not as beautiful and charming and easy as I'm making it sound, but it is very beautiful and very charming, and I'm very lucky. And in my mind, I'm like, wait, you want me to trade this in for some guy who's going to want me to do things for him? Like my kids I don't do things for my kids. They do things for me. And a man in a relationship with me is, in my mind, someone who I take care of. I don't, like, I feed my cats in the morning and the evening. Like that's the only caring for people I do. I am emotionally there for my kids when they have things that they need. But as far as the physical labor, they are just doing all that. So yeah, I can't wrap my mind around it. And one other thing that two, I want an unselfish guy. And while I keep saying the word guy, I have tried many times to, and not a deep dive. So this is also something I could explore. Asking myself, Marla, are you sure that you're not queer in some way? Like, is this, because right now, currently, to be honest, I don't have a lot of sexual desire. And looking back and trying to think, were there periods of time when I did? And kind of not landing on any kind of label, but wondering if I'm demisexual, where I don't look at people and just want to have sex with someone. I need just one person who I'm in this relationship with. So here I am. I do this a lot. So while I don't go out and flirt a lot, I will, if I see a photo or a video of someone online or a person out in the world, and I try to keep it like someone in my general age range, if I can tell. And of course, I don't know if people are married or not, but I do this thing. Am I attracted to this person sexually? Like, do I feel something there? Could I see myself being with this person or having sex with them? Like something the Bible told us we're never supposed to do. Like you don't look at someone and imagine having sex. And I do it with all genders. It primarily tends to be male, but I will look at someone, think, do I find them attractive? And a lot of times I'm like, that person's attractive. But then if I think, do I want to kiss them? Would I have sex with them? And the answer is very, 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 very rarely yes. I just don't feel a pull to someone that I don't know. But I guess I don't really feel that pull with anyone right now. Like there's not anyone. So even okay, so quick tangent. You and I have talked about vibrators and things. Like I got my very first one. I bought it for myself for my 49th birthday. And then it sat in my drawer for a couple months because I was scared of it. And then trying to think, okay, how am I going to do this? And what are we going to, I had masturbated plenty in the past, but never with any kind of thing with batteries. And so trying to conjure up some kind of image or scenario or something if I wasn't already feeling in the mood or whatever. And I'm like, I'm struggling here. Like I can't think of what I even want to envision and imagine because I just want to go read my book or make some poem art. Like I don't. And so then I think, well, why am I forcing something? So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. Like not wanting to force something, but also not wanting to repress something. So is there something that needs to come up? Is there something that, like, what if I think of Glennon Doyle, who, when she saw Abby Wambach, who's now her wife, like electricity sparks. She had never thought of herself or maybe never been attracted to a woman before, but immediately there was Abby. And so having that possibility of, could it be a woman, someone who's non-binary? Could there be someone out there that as soon as I see that person, I'm like, that's why I don't care about anything else right now, because it's this person. And another thing over here in my notes, I have that this person has to be 100% actively anti-racist and anti-homophobic and anti a lot of things and pro a lot of things. And that feels hard for me to find that kind of person and be able to prove that and ensure that. And so I need to be around a person or know them or see them in many, many, many situations, or someone that I know online that I can follow and see that proof there. Because I talk about this, well, I don't talk about dating a lot, but I do talk about anti-racism and being a safe person for a safe white person for a Black person to be a friend with, or a safe cis straight person for a queer person to be a friend with. And that is because I have put out there time and time and time again what I believe, who I will stand for, what I am against. I fight hard for things. And so I can't just pick any person and be like, let's be in a relationship. So I don't want to fall for some kind acting person and then later find out these things about them. So it feels, I think, so daunting, so overwhelming, so complex for what I need and want. And then I think, who has the time for this? Like, I can't find enough time to do my work, to pay my bills, to write all the books, to make all the art, to text my friends, to do these things. Where am I going to fit a dating relationship? And so since it's not like at the top of my list, then I just don't do it. I put a quote in here. I was reading a book. It's called Conversations with Toni Morrison. And so it is these transcripts that people have had, interviews that they've had with her over the years, that it's all put in this book, which is funny to me that I would rather read a book of transcripts of interviews than watch the interviews. I just love to read and write in the margins. But she told a story in one of these interviews where she's overwhelmed by everything on her plate. She took out a yellow pad and made a list of all the things she had to do and wanted to do. And she said, there were only two things without which I couldn't live: mother my children and write books. Then I cut out everything that didn't have to do with those two things. And then she says, not organizing my exterior and interior self for the approval of men, which I had done a lot of before. It's not a bad thing to please a husband or a lover, but I couldn't do that. It took up time and thought. And I was like, that is it for me. And then one last thing that I put on here is, I am so afraid of hurting people's feelings, and I cannot say no. There was a guy when I was a freshman in high school. He was a junior. He called me on the phone and invited me to prom. I absolutely was attracted to this boy 0%, like 000%. And I felt so bad for him because I was a friend to him. He didn't have very many friends and I was his friend. So he calls me up, asks me to prom. I cannot say no to him. So I go to my mom and dad begging them, please tell me I'm not allowed to go to prom with him so that I can call him back and say, listen, my mom and dad don't, I'm only 15 or only whatever I was. And so I can't go. So that's what I did. I have so much empathy and cannot handle hurting people's feelings that I'm afraid I would date a guy for a couple times and then not be able to say no, like not want to hurt him, even though it would be in my best interest. I even feel empathy for my ex when he sends me emails about things and he's done all of this terrible shit. And why would I feel sorry for him? I don't know. So yeah, that is a lot. There's a lot of my shit and my baggage, and
Yeah. So I want to see if this is accurate. You would say you have a full life and you don't feel like anything is lacking that would be enough to propel you towards dating right now. Is that fair?
100%, which is why I think to myself, look, get some books out of my system, become financially secure. My kids fly the nest, and I am home in this big house all by myself and thinking, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have a friend who occasionally wants to have sex?
Well, I think, I'm going to be honest, I think those are some of the best friends.
Yeah.
I'm like, sign me up for more of those friends.